Good evening. This is Rudy Giuliani, and this is America's Mayor live for the number 500 and
84.
84th session in a row. Live, not from Washington, D.C.
Mayor,
But we're getting you ready for the inauguration, and we're getting you prepared to wear your slime coats to come to Slimetown. But you got to come to Slimetown because it's going to be beautiful. This is going to be like Disneyland. It's going to be beautiful and wonderful. I don't know who it was. Oh, I do know who it was. It was Newt Gingrich who suggested after Biden had Hillary Clinton and I don't know what other scoundrels and criminals get the Medal of Freedom, that a priest or bishop be brought in to sanctify the area of the White House that had been possessed by devils. Well, somebody would have to sanctify all of Washington, right? Maybe the Trump inauguration will do that. At least it'll return people who love America to running America, as opposed to people who, for some very obvious reasons and for not so obvious reasons, seem to, as a group, unite in their dislike for all things American, and certainly all things Trump. Well, the president has gotten many awards, and he's going to get many, many more. But this one, I feel a personal stake in, because I could be, when I was his lawyer and in the White House every day, just about, I can't imagine that I didn't drink as many of these as he did. So there's his award right there. You're going to show it, Ted? You're going to show that bottle of Diet Coke, which was made for the inauguration of our president? So when you go visit him, in business or even personal, upstairs in the personal residence, these are coming out. These are coming out like boom, boom, boom. And when I would go, and Jay Sekulow would go when we represented him during the impeachment, we would meet him very, very often in the private residence so that we could have some privacy, attorney-client. In those days, we had something, you don't know what it is anymore after the Biden administration. And I'm going to have a lecture on it. I think I'm allowed to do it since the New York bar disbarred me. I think you can still give lectures on the law since I know more about it than they do. Have certainly argued more cases than they have. I'll give you a lecture on the attorney-client privilege, because most people don't remember what it is. Because in pursuing President Trump and his allies, the Biden Easters have completely destroyed it. But there used to be an attorney-client privilege, and we used to go up there, and the minute you got there, the gentleman was taking care, would come over, and after a while, he didn't even have to. All of a sudden, three of these would show up, one for him coming in, one for me, one for Jay. Usually it was a can, sometimes it was a bottle, sometimes it was a glass with the ice in it already. And boy, if you were there 15 minutes or you were there 3 hours. Now, I happen to, I don't know if I drink it as much as he does, pretty close. But I'm glad to see he's, among other things, as well as our great hope, he's Mr. Diet Coke. So congratulations, President Trump. Hey, congratulations in getting a ceasefire that, I'm sorry. Did I leave out President Biden? I don't think he listens to this show. And they might give him clips, but I don't think he would really. It could be he not understand. He wouldn't understand what I just said. Congratulations to President. I can't really congratulate you, Joe, for it, because, I mean, not only didn't you do a damn thing to try to save our American hostages or Israeli hostages, you positively ignored them. I mean, I remember when Jimmy Carter had hostages, that's all he talked about or thought about. Now, you may not have thought much of Jimmy Carter as a president, although I do have to tell you he's better than you were. But at least he had a heart. It's astonishing to me, and it's also astonishing at the dishonesty of the press not calling him on this. But this guy acted as if there were no hostages. Well, there are. There are hostages. They're American hostages. I'd like you to look at the board now after watching the. I'd like you to look at those pictures because those are the known American hostages, none of whom have been saved. The bottom four, Itai Chen, Omar Nutra, Judy Weinstein, and Gad Haggai, were discovered dead some time ago. American hostages dead, and we had months and months and months to rescue them, although they may have been killed at the beginning of their captivity. I don't know. The other three are presumably still alive and going to be returned in the first wave, we think. That's Keith Siegel, Sagui Dekel Chen, and Eden Alexander. As you know, we pray for them at the beginning of every show. And I hope our prayers are being answered. And as a great president, John Kennedy, once said, you know, on earth, the work of God is truly our own. Well, on earth, the work of God is Donald Trump. And it's Donald Trump's pressure on this group of animals that created this. The only difference between now, and this is happening, and 5 months ago, is Donald Trump saying, if the hostages are not back, you're going to have hell to pay. Now, I think they're calculating something, and this is something that the president has to, calculate. This isn't for me, but I'll raise it because it's just an interesting thing to think of. The president made it clear when he appeared the other day with Gary Witkoff, who had a fairly optimistic message about the hostages. President said they'd better all be returned before I officially take office. I think that's what he said. Either when I take office or before I officially.
Before he takes office, they all better be back.
Okay, it was before.
Hell
right?
to pay.
And he said, otherwise you're going to have hell to pay. And then he went on to do a little further description of what that might mean for Hamas, complete destruction. Now, based on the present proposal, which is not a done deal yet, I don't think.
It's not.
33 or 34 will be returned. But I think they're going to get out of that with President Trump, that demand, by giving him back all the Americans. I don't know if they're giving him back the dead bodies of 4 Americans, but they're giving him back the 3 living Americans so that the group of hostages becomes Israelis and whatever other nationalities they have. Don't know if the president should consider that they're being in good faith. Well, they're not in good faith anyway, but it's really a question of when and how he wants to turn this around. And does he want to take advantage of this or another situation? But in any event, this is a lot more movement that we've had. And let's not fight over something that hasn't happened yet. This is a lot more movement we've had. And isn't this just another area where even before he's in office, he's having a much bigger impact than Biden had for 3.5 years in office? Here's a funny one, if you want a funny one. So there was an article today with the inauguration coming up in Mar-a-Lago, kind of receding a little shortly as the winter White House or the alternative White House or whatever. There was an alternative with a picture of a number of very attractive women And the picture of the attractive women, there they are, was at Mar-a-Lago, and apparently all of them are quite willing, and I admire them for being, upfront to say that I think they're all patients of Dr. Norman Rao, who is a New York City-based plastic surgeon who opened a new location in Florida recently, and just at the right time, as people were sprucing themselves up for going to Mar-a-Lago, which is like, in some ways, a way of going to the White House, right? And maybe in some ways even more exciting in this anticipatory period leading up to the president becoming once again president of the United States, and then with so many notable people coming that they read about. They mention Ted. They mention, of course, Musk, and they mentioned Robert Kennedy, and they mentioned Ted Cruz and Melania Trump. You get to see all these people, and they all decided they had to look better. And I don't know if they all went to Dr. Rowe, but he is now apparently fantastically busy. He does about 15 of these things in a day. I wouldn't go to him if he did 15 of them. Suppose he messed up my nose.
It must be good.
I could look like one of those kids I grew up with. Or one of the kids I used to box with. So these ladies have they all, I'm not going to identify them because it's unfair. Have all these ladies been,
and you got to be careful, man. Some of these are regular viewers of our show.
I mean, I'm not saying anything bad about them.
You're saying great things about them.
They're beautiful ladies.
Exactly.
But I mean,
nothing but positive.
I'm not going to say anything. We're going to keep it there. And over a period of time, we're going to see if we can have someone on the show and have them tell us if they feel comfortable, did they, and what was it, and was it an improvement? Okay?
I like that.
Because I'm just a man, an old one, right? So I can say this sort of a certain degree of objectivity. And doctor, don't get mad at me. You got plenty of client, whatever. I think this is overdone. I see a lot of times where some woman says to me, "See, I had this done." Jesus, she looks better. Of course. I don't know. I think when that really gets bad is when you're trying to take every aspect of aging away. You almost expect to see, as you see a more mature man or woman, some aspect of aging. And it can be very attractive. But that's me. And then I also get into, and I have to admit, playing this game a few times at Mar-a-Lago, the patented face. So I would sit there and say, let's see if we can pick out 3 or 4 women here who went to the same doctor. Because they look like their sisters. I do think I would go on a campaign if I were in that health field of less is better, particularly if God gave you reasonably good. I'm not saying great beauty, just because with makeup and proper dressing and carrying yourself, a reasonably good-looking person, male or female, can be extremely attractive.
Well, they're saying more and more men now are getting plastic surgery. Your thoughts on that?
I think. Gee, I don't think there needs to be more plastic surgery. I think there's one political group that could use more brain, open brain surgery.
Yeah,
they should be able to develop open brain surgery. Like, wouldn't it be good if that silly looking governor has, he has so much hair that it wiped out his brains. The guy who doesn't fill the reservoirs and lies.
Gavin Newsom.
Yeah. So do you know, speaking of the inauguration, that Brazil is not letting Bolsonaro come to his friend's inauguration. Now I know that Bolsonaro is his friend because I was there at the UN gathering 1 or 2 weeks after he was shot or got out of the hospital for being shot. And he came to New York and he was told by the mayor at the time, Mayor Communist de Blasio, that he shouldn't come. And the mayor wasn't going to greet him and somebody else wasn't going to greet him. And all the Democrats made a big deal. And he said he was just coming. He said this from over there. I'm just coming to see 2 people. I found out that the former mayor, Giuliani, is going to be there. And he actually is the only mayor of New York anybody knows about. And I'm coming to see President Trump. I'm waiting for him to come. And I don't really want to see the mayor or anybody else. They're pretty useless. Man, did I like this guy. So I went, and the president wasn't he came a day early, and he had nobody to meet him or whatever. So I went and met him. And I spent a long time with him. And he explained in great detail the shooting and how he escaped death and the experience of that. And this is a big, strong man. This is a strong man. And I held him in my arms, and we cried together. I related things about 9/11. This is a very deep man, a very religious man too. One of his sons, he comes from Rio. I may have this clue reversed, but he comes from Rio, and his eldest son comes from Sao Paulo. And his eldest son at the time was a leader in the legislature and still is. And he has a younger son that's also in the legislature. And this is the only hope for Brazil. I can, at times when we are off, it's other subjects, and I can talk to you a lot about Brazil. I did security work there, and I very famously turned down security work there because despite all of the demonization and bullshit about me, you don't get to compromise me. And I walked out of several projects in Brazil because they had a hint of kickback and scandal, and then pretty much came to the conclusion, except for this advice that I gave to 1 or 2 police departments, better not to work there. I mean, money isn't. I mean, you might be able to tell from what's going on with me that, of course, money is important. I have a family, I have children, I have grandchildren, I have friends that I like to take care of, but gosh, when money becomes life, principle disappears. It really does. Principle first, and Bolsonaro is that kind of man, and there aren't too many. Certainly not in Brazil. Wow, are they corrupt? Whoop. Remember in one conference, they wanted to pay me more than I bid. The minute you want to pay me more than I bid, of course, they didn't know that I was the most effective and famous prosecutor from America. The minute I heard that, the detective nose started. You want to pay me more? I'm putting in a contract here for $8 million. You want to pay me 12? Okay, let's play that out. What do you want me to do? Build something else? No. We just would like you to take on this company. It'll help you with the security. I don't need any help with security. They won't do anything. Oh, don't get in your way. Oh, you just pay them, and we'll give you the money to do it. Exactly what are they gonna do? Oh, they'll be doing things. And so then I was gonna go a little further, and they said, "Do you have, we could, we give you a deposit. Do you have an offshore account?" But the minute they said that, I said to my associate and to the person that brought him to me, I called him up, Get him the hell out of here. Get him out of here before I go wear a wire and try to put him in jail, huh? Just get him the hell out of here. I used to teach that. I don't think I was too effective. Biden is going out, his finale, which is now, what, 4 days? His finale is to put a fine point on all the things that he did to destroy us. I mean, like, for example, I don't know where he gets the time to do this because it looks like he's sleeping all the time. He just approved 600,000 more Venezuelans to come in. Now, Venezuela is a communist country, and I am, as anti-communist, you have to go back. I don't know if people in this generation can possibly be as anti-communist as I am. People in my generation, there were people that probably were more anti-communist than I am. But I studied a great deal of my college career studying communism. I studied it as a political system, and I studied it. I was also a philosophy minor, and I studied Marxism, not just Marxism, but Marxism's history and Marxist progeny. So I really know it. Now, it was a focus on Russian communism, minor on Chinese at the time, but Marx is Marx. And when I hear the phrases, I get them. You know, when Tampon Tim talks about the state's going to decide whether a kid gets mutilated or not the parents, I hear children are the property of the state. And I realize that why he went to China for 30 times and got paid. When I even when I heard Obama a long time ago, because a lot of people told me Obama had communist training, and then I looked and he did. And when he started that thing about or many of these people in Pennsylvania cling to their guns and their religion, or maybe it was God. I couldn't figure out what for the life of me was wrong with clinging to religion. Why would you say that? I understand his position on guns and why he thinks that's evil, although I think that's also a warped view and possibly a Marxist view. But the other is surely a Marxist view. Even if you were an atheist or an agnostic, you wouldn't criticize someone for being religious if you were a well-educated, sensible person. But you do realize that the left-wing elite look down on you if you're religious as being intellectually inferior. Do you know who wrote that at great length? Karl Marx. Do you know how many things they say and do that come out of Karl Marx's literature or Engels' literature, which was prolific? A lot. Destroying our statues, destroying our culture, destroying our history. Getting rid of our religion, getting rid of our flag, getting rid of our national pride, getting rid of our heroes and burning down their statues, creating chaos, creating moral license, creating massive confusion about sex and sexuality. I even think Marx would be somewhat shocked at 57 genders, or which bathroom do you go into? But he'd love it. The more confusion, the better. He'd love Soros coming into those cities 50, 60 times, putting in DAs who do something that you can only do if you want to destroy a country. Like hundreds, if not thousands of criminals, violent, out on the street. The best demonstration of that is in the conclusion, and the conclusion is that those cities, under the influence of multi-million-dollar Soros prosecutors, set records for more homicides in the history of those cities. The man Soros is responsible for more deaths that could be preventable in America than any man I can think of. And I would say also disproportionately black death. You take a city like Philadelphia, or set records twice for murder, 7, 8 out of 10 are black people. You had to know it. You have to know that. I mean, if you're a professional in law enforcement, you know that. You know when murder goes up in an old American city, you know who's dying and who's not. 600,000 Venezuelans coming in. You say, well, they're fleeing communism. I think the ones who were fleeing communism fled. And under the guise of that, he's sending an awful lot of criminals here. The idea that the president floated is not an idea, it's a reality. He's emptying his jails and his prisons. And people say, oh, how could that be? Gosh almighty, that's what Castro, it's not like a new idea. Maduro's a rather dull dunce. Chavez, different story. He's the guy who invented it. This is the gene pool diminution. This jerk, however, knows Castro. It's his hero. Castro did the Mario boat lift. He's doing his own version of it, except more people. And lots of other people are doing it. You're out of your mind, as President Trump says, if you don't do it. If you're a dictator and you run an authoritarian government and somebody opens up their gates and says, I'll take all of your people, you empty your jails out. Particularly if the country's your enemy. So now he's made it easier for 600,000 Venezuelans to come in. Let's say 300,000 are, and why not under conditions of strict scrutiny? It's pretty easy, actually, to find. And they say, well, you can't get the records in Venezuela. I don't know. I think Mr. Holman would do a pretty damn good job of figuring out when he interviews the Venezuelans if they're people fleeing communism or they're a bunch of guys that just came out of the prison. I mean, I can smell a prisoner. I can tell you a prisoner, particularly if he's just out. I dealt with thousands and thousands and thousands. I ran the Bureau of Prisons. Of course, I was responsible for the largest jail in the country. If I'm too far away from it and experience, I'll find you people. They can look at somebody and they can say, that guy just got out of the big house. You don't think we could look at these people and figure out which ones were in prison and which ones are really fleeing communism? He doesn't bother. He takes them all. And then they kill Lake and Riley. And he can't even pronounce their name, the bum in the White House. Great project of which, gosh, I don't know how they're going to do this. Remember when we met Vivek first time, Ted?
Oh, yeah.
I told him, he said, should I run for president? I said, only if you're going to bring ideas to it and not be a spoiler. And he said, I'm not going to be a spoiler. I love President Trump, but God forbid if he doesn't make it, I want to be there. And I will not do anything to undercut him. But second, I have a lot of ideas. And he sure did.
He definitely
sure did. And Musk has been like a savior for free speech. Gosh, my two most important principles in the Constitution: freedom of religion, freedom of speech. Without that, nothing else works. Nothing else. Forget it. You can't have a democracy if you can't say what you want to say. I know. This is what these cases are about. Just shut me up. See if you can shut me up. Ain't going to do it. Got too big a mouth and too big a conscience. We're going to take a short break, and I'm going to come back and exercise my right of free speech and tell you the things that nobody else does, or many people don't, very shortly. All the stuff that's hidden from you by the anti-American media that predominates in this country.
To celebrate the new year, we're having the biggest sale ever on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save 60% on our Goose Down comforters, the best comforters ever. They go perfectly with our MyPillow bed sheets and duvet covers. Save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels. They're made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. Our seasonal flannel sheets are finally in. You save up to 50% and they sell out fast every year, so order now. They're truly the best flannel sheets you'll ever sleep on. Or save up to 80% on all our clearance items. And this is where it gets even better. For a limited time, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. And for a limited time, your order...
Are you ready for some action?
I'm ready for action.
Get the Elite TV plan only through the portal. 218 channels, and it's only $69.95 a month,
Wow.
including your free portal.
That's cheaper than everyone else.
Your favorite sports, movies, news,
Wow.
even daytime dramas. We're talking about ESPN, OAN, Newsmax,
Wow.
channels you can't get anymore in certain areas.
Compared to the competition, this is a way better deal.
Endless selection. Not to mention all the free music channels. There's over 700 premium and classic movies all ready to go.
Wow.
Plus, they got catch-up TV that allows you to go back and watch what you've missed or want to watch again. Cut your cable in half and get twice as much for free.
Way more channels for half the cost.
After the first year, the subscription then drops to $57.95 monthly,
Wow.
where you change or upgrade anytime. Go to QUXNow.com and get yours today. Use promo code RUDY. Act fast.
It's Rudy Giuliani back with you on America's Mayor Live. And despite the Washington backdrop, that's to get you ready for the inauguration and to get you ready for the culture shock of returning to the swamp, which will be defumigated by Donald Trump and all of the people that we've mentioned tonight. And I'll be there to watch them fumigate. Might stay in Virginia the first night until they defumigate it, and then come in afterwards so we can deal with the odor. Ted, what do you think? When we were there to go
Last few times.
to go before the most unfair and mean judge in America last Friday, we stayed in. We stayed. Well, actually, we stayed in the district, which was a
spent
mistake.
Little time there.
We did our work out in
Virginia.
out in Roslyn, Virginia, and it really was nice to be there. Felt so much much more free than in. And then, of course, we were treated to a judge that's over the top, and I will not complain about me tonight. I'll complain about what she did to the J6 people and telling the other judges that they didn't give them strong enough sentences. Where does she come off deciding that another judge didn't give a strong enough sentence? And why doesn't that disqualify her from all the rest of the cases, including Trump cases like mine, where she gave me such an unfair trial? It's an abomination. So, that's going to happen next week. People will be starting to go there, maybe even now, right? I'd say by tomorrow, right?
Right.
By Friday, people will be checking. They probably even have some parties tomorrow night. My guess is not the big ones. The big ones.
I think there's some tonight. I'm getting texts about tonight, Mayor.
I thought they were in D.C. They were in. Aren't they having a party in Palm Beach before he goes? I thought they were having one on Saturday in Palm Beach.
In Palm Beach, or is that at his place in?
Having some kind of fireworks thing, aren't they?
Oh wow! I think in D.C. or his place in Virginia.
Oh, maybe that's in Virginia. Oh, at his golf. You see, when they say golf course, I keep thinking it's this one. They mean the golf course in Virginia. Oh, that's a beauty too. That has a wonderful.
Maybe we stop by. That might.
That has a wonderful right on one of the back holes. It's got a great memorial of a Civil War battle.
I didn't get to go. I remember you took.
Did we take you to that?
Yeah, I stayed back to folk. We had to set something up, but you went with our friend Mark.
Oh, so I took Mark with me.
Yeah, over on the
to show him the site of the battle between the two armies on either side of the Potomac. I mean, they were right. It's amazing to see it because the Army of Northern Virginia, which was Lee's army, and the Army of the Potomac, which was, well, eventually Grant's, but I don't know who was one of Lincoln's incompetent generals. was in charge. They were on the other side. They had a battle. It was not a critical one or a big one, and I think it wasn't like the full armies, but they had a battle right there at that golf course. And Trump has done a beautiful job of memorializing it, and no one's torn it down yet. I doubt that they're going to get a chance to do it while he's in the presidency. So one of the jobs that Elon and Vivek can do is straighten out this nobody goes to work anymore. I mean, this is an aftershoot of the favorite and most wonderful thing that ever happened to Democrats, which is COVID. COVID allowed any number of Democrat governors, and I think it was good for us too, to show us that at heart they're Marxist dictators and really like it. It brings out the dictator tendency in socialists, which now we see in full regalia with Big Hair in California. Big hair, no brains. Big hair, no conscience. So there are $7 billion annually spent to lease and maintain office space that's empty. How long would a business do? One season, right? I mean, I'd like to ask Musk and Ramaswamy that. Well, one of their chiefs who can handle this. How long in business would you keep leasing office space that you don't use? 17 of the 24 federal agencies are using as little as 9%. And the highest it goes up to is 49% of their buildings. So if 51% of the building isn't being used, maybe they'll give us a studio for nothing. What do you think, Ted?
Yeah, I mean,
they give it to NPR.
I mean, might as well add.
They actually pay NPR to broadcast anti-American news, right? Pro-communist news. We pay for it.
We got to talk to our friend Carrie Lake, who will be leading up Voice of America. Maybe we can take America's Mayor live on the international circuit.
Yeah. Maybe we should show what our friends can do in Ukraine. She'd be interested in that.
Actually, you're right.
I mean, they are a Voice of America already.
That's right.
The federal government is wasting billions for unutilized office space, including $3.3 billion on furniture, a couple of billion on books, 7,000 entirely vacant buildings, many with very, very sparse occupancy. I mean, you say each one of the, when they look at this, the press say, oh, it's only this much, it's only that much, it's only this much. As I think Edward Dirksen said, after a while, it starts to become money. You keep counting it up, $1 billion here, $1 billion there, and you got a nice cut. Why is Biden doing this farewell thing? His speech last night was bitter. Angry, bitter. He's leaving. Well, I guess that doesn't matter. He's a crook. He's a demented old fool. Could be a pervert. He likes kids touching the hair on his head, on his legs. He's a liar of the unbelievable order. And he's leaving office being a complete fool out of himself. First he's given away Cuba as a terrorist state. Cuba is turning itself over to China. And he takes away the terrorist designation. That probably was a subpart of the payment from China. You don't think Biden was bribed by China?
I mean,
China just gave away.
We know for a fact
31 million just for the heck of it.
Right.
And then just for the heck of it, he gave him the Bagram Air Base.
And had nothing
and
to
just
do.
For the heck of it, he let him get away with COVID. Huh? Yeah, right.
Please.
So last night, could we show any portion of the speech, and you say to yourself, what is that guy doing in the White House, even if it is for 4 more days? What will happen if he has to make a decision about life and death? He can't make a decision about his own life and death. So we show him?
Yeah, let's
Don't get scared. Only a few more days.
so this so we want to play something. Is this which clip are we playing? Sorry, I'm arguing with a reporter right now to take out a certain word from a. Let's leave it at that.
Yeah, put it that way. Put that on.
Okay. So we'll play. We're gonna play a short clip. So this is Biden last night, and those of you that that tuned in last night, you caught a good portion of it. We had played a good portion of his farewell speech, and it's interesting because now all of his cabinet secretaries are playing there or are going out and making comments. And
making comments or making their own speeches?
Their own speeches, which I thought was odd, Mayor. I wanted to ask you, isn't that something that the president would do and that would be it?
Well, I don't know. They're usually private.
Right.
That's what I told my team.
This will be my final address to you from the American people, from the Oval Office, from this desk as president. And I've been thinking a lot about who we are and maybe more importantly, who we should be. Long ago in New York Harbor, an iron worker installed beam after beam, day after day. He was joined by steel workers, stonemasons, engineers. They built not just a single structure, but a beacon of freedom.
You want me to try to get Leo?
The very idea of America was so big, we felt the entire world needed to see. The Statue of Liberty, a gift from France after our Civil War. Like the very idea of America, it was built not by one person, but by many people, from every background and from around the world. Like America, the Statue of Liberty is not standing still. Her foot literally steps forward atop a broken chain of human bondage. She's on the march, and she literally moves. She was built to sway back and forth to withstand the fury of stormy weather. To stand the test of time because storms are always coming. She sways.
Spare me mundane bullshit poetry, huh? From a small mind that I know for so long. First time I heard about him, never knew he'd be president. His classmate said, "You want to meet him? You should meet him. He's on the Judiciary Committee. You know," he said, you should run for senator in a place like Delaware." I said, "Why?" He said, "Wouldn't cost you any money. You'd get elected." I said, "How would I get elected?" He said, "Well, this guy got elected. He either said he's the dumbest guy I know, or he was the dumbest guy in my law school class. He's a real fool, and but a nice guy. Cheated like hell to get through school. Told me the whole story of the plagiarism back then. But he's a nice guy. A lot of jokes and stuff. I met him. I dealt with him for a while. Very clearly and very quickly came to the conclusion he was truly one of the dumbest people I'd ever met. And then watched the turn in his personality, the meanness, the political just repetition of slogans, the inability to analyze, the thing that Gates pointed out, his uncanny ability to be wrong about everything. But it wasn't until the Ukrainians came to me to show me his criminality and said, you know, they're doing in Ukraine exactly what they're falsely claiming Trump did with Russia. They're trying to fix the election. And by the way, you know about the big Biden bribe. I don't know anything about it. He said, everybody in Ukraine knows about it. And that's how it all started. And that's why they want to destroy me, because they're a crime family. And that's why you should get my book on Amazon, Crime Family. Biden, Crime Family. I'll show you how they fit right into the classic definition of a RICO enterprise. So we're going through a very bitter, bitter end of his presidency. Here's just a random editorial. What does that say? Corrupt Biden's shameful legacy. And then he's leaving behind, enormous problems. He's cutting off as much oil and gas exploration as possible. He's giving benefits to countries like Cuba. Who knows how much money he's slipping to Iran, like Obama did at the end of his administration. He did it in cash. I don't know what Biden is doing it in. Maybe setting up deals for him and Hunter, or Hunter setting them up. Then he goes ahead and he takes all the credit for the Gaza deal, which is inherently irrational. The deal, if it were him, the deal would have been done years ago. These people would be alive. He didn't do anything to help those hostages, even talk about them. Well, the toll in California has gotten to be $275 billion at least so far, and growing. 62.5 square miles, larger than Manhattan, and growing. And I guess what comes out of this fire is the single most dramatic demonstration of government incompetence, or the price you pay for it, which is human life. And two people in particular are the stars of this. The mayor, Bass, who was in Ghana when the fire took place, on notice that there would be a major disaster, because she left notes about it, not terribly helpful notes, not notes like the fire hydrants are full, or there's a sufficient water or sufficient number of firefighters. They only sent out 5 of 40 trucks originally. The delay in responding to the fire is, according to former firemen, one of the reasons why the fire got so bad. That delay was occasioned by the fact that they are very short with regard to firemen and fire trucks. I didn't capture the picture for you. I should have. There's a massive picture of unused fire trucks in Los Angeles. It looks like a large lot. She cut $18 million from the fire department. She didn't rehire the firefighters that were fired for the absolutely unfair reason of not taking a COVID vaccine. They should have every right to refuse, consider it never was put through proper testing. The situation that she presided over is nothing short of criminally negligent, and she should be tossed out on a fanny right away. No, like Fanny over in the other part of the country. It is true. I think I reported last night that 200 pieces of Hunter's great works of art were destroyed at an average price of $85,000. Another con job, huh? And the governor, I think, has truly. I see left-wingers on television popping their cork over him, going absolutely nuts on him about what a liar he is and what an incompetent he is, what a playboy he is. So maybe the benefit of this is that we will not have to bear with him as a president, and she can go back to whatever the hell she did before she was a mayor. And hopefully it wasn't having any responsibility for the lives of other people, because she doesn't have responsibility. She doesn't have the capacity for it. I mean, she appointed, I have to go back over this guy again, Deputy Chief Christine Larson, who is in charge of the Equity Human Resources Bureau of the Los Angeles Fire Department, who was trying to defend the fact that they hired so many women firefighters and who can't carry out people who are very big or overweight or whatever. And as to that, her response to it was that he, the victim, got himself in the wrong place if I have to carry him out of a fire.
You play the clip?
What?
Let's play the clip.
Oh yeah. I don't remember if we actually saw this. Nitwit say this.
See somebody that responds. You want to see somebody that responds to your house, your emergency, whether it's a medical call or a fire call, that looks like you. It gives that person a little bit more ease, knowing that somebody might understand their situation better. Is she strong enough to do this? Or you couldn't carry my husband out of a fire, which my response is, he got himself in the wrong place if I have to carry him out of a fire.
That person is paid $207,000 a year to do that job. That person also said when people's houses are burning down, they want a fire to show up, a firefighter to show up who looks like them. You think that's true? You think if I'm on the 5th floor, so let's say I looked down there and there were all kinds of fires right below us. This this floor here is occupied by 5 people right now, Ted and 3 others. Some may be taking a nap, and there was fire down there. I'd wake them up, of course, and we decide whether we're going to evacuate now or wait for the firefighters. And but you think we'd all be sitting here saying, "Oh, it better be white firefighters"? If a black firefighter, we're not going to go with them. Mm-mm. And if it's Asian, I'm not going with an Asian firefighter. I'll burn to death in the fire for. So don't you think a person who says that, who has responsibilities for the life and safety of other people? Now, 2 of these statements. Don't you think their judgment is so bad they should be removed from a place that has responsibility of life and death? Could this be why only 5 of how many trucks did I say? 5 of what? 5. I mean, it's a shocking example. Oh, they did that because they were afraid they're going to run out of trucks. That's all part of 5 of 40. That's all part of her going away. I mean, she goes away and leaves a pathetically unmanned fire department for what she predicts is going to be a terrible natural disaster. So if we take a look up on the board before we go, we can summarize where things are as of mid today, and how contained they are. The Palisades one is the big one. So you see it there from Santa Monica all the way over to Ventura. That's the one that Bill Simon, who we had on yesterday, was describing, whose family is, has a home right in the center of that. And that's been almost 24,000 acres burned. And it's still only 22% contained, which means if winds start to strike up again, it's going to start moving the fire. If you go off to the auto fire, that's 85% contained, which is pretty good, but at 60 acres burned. So in comparison, that was a relatively small fire. The Hearst fire, somewhere more in the middle, that was 98% contained. That's basically over now, and 790 acres burned. The Eaton fire challenges the Palisades fire to some extent. It's about half contained, and it's lost 14,100 acres. And then the Little Mountain fire way out in San Bernardino, that's 30% acres burned and not contained at all. And the real question is, do the massive winds come back that will take a flame and turn it into a massive fire and a flash fire? That's the real key to this. And let's hope that with all of this emphasis on this, there will now be a very serious attempt to take a look at this and to say, we have got to fix this. We have got to fix it. God requires us to do that in our obligation to others. When we take on the role of a significant service position, our lives are not our own any longer, and our judgments have to be careful and prudent because they affect the lives of other people. If you really think it's important that the person who shows up at a fire be of the same race, religion, ethnic background, facial, whatever, of the person in the fire, you get a lot of people killed. That's an idea that belongs somewhere else in some other context, and it's a person with a distorted sense of judgment that doesn't belong in such a highly sensitive position. And the same things can be said about the governor and about the radio coverage. It's hysterical, and it is not particularly focused on what people really need to know that's true, or that maybe isn't true but has two or three possible things that people have to think about. So let's hope that this becomes an occasion to rethink fire safety for the great people of California. And for them, the next couple of years is not going to be fun, either having to leave where they were born and grew up, or having to recreate in an atmosphere of, probably a lot of fighting over insurance, and things never go right. And some people can be very excited about it, and some people can be broken about it. Well, let's pray for the people of Israel and for the people of Ukraine. Let's pray for the people of Iran who should be able to liberate themselves now. Let's pray for all the people in Western Europe so that they become stronger in their quest to take on the challenges that we face and become equal contributors. And let's of course pray for all of the people of America. But tonight, let's see if we can focus on the people in California, huh? They don't deserve this. Hardworking, decent people put out of their homes. Let's hope they're able to pull it all together as quickly as possible and get back to their beautiful lives. So we'll just say a little prayer to God to guide us. We'll be back tomorrow night for the final show of the week before we head into inaugural week. And we'll be focused heavily on giving you lots of advice for either coming to or watching the inauguration on television, and some of the interesting things to look for. Well, God bless America. It's our purpose to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776. One of the first American bestsellers.
in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze,